I only offered to preach today because the sermon will be shorter than today's gospel. Through the years, I have read many stories and articles about the effects of pets, especially dogs, on our level of stress. It seems during times of stress, the most reassuring companion is not your sweetheart. It is your dog. Studies have found that people who were under stress showed the least amount of tension when accompanied by their dog. Must be why Madre Liz is so relaxed. One article suggested that stress levels were highest when the people tested were with their spouses. Of course, that's not true with Matt and me. He's my stress releaser. I can't speak for him, though. Karen Allen, who was a research scientist at SUNY Buffalo's medical school, said, "I think that dogs are non-evaluative, and they love us." This article caught my attention, not because of what it says about stress and our spouses. It caught my attention because of what it says about how dogs love us unconditionally, and it spoke of the benefits that kind of love has. I think there's something holy in this declaration made by Miss Allen that non-judgmental love reduces tension. In fact, I believe this gospel testifies that this kind of love does more than reduce tension. It gives life, it gives hope, and it gives assurance to all who receive it. Non-judgmental, accepting, all-embracing love is, I believe, the essence of this gospel message. It lies behind such statements as, "Do not judge others, lest you be judged, for the judgment you give will be the judgment you receive." This is at the root of what has happened whenever we find Jesus being criticized by the scribes and Pharisees for the company that he keeps. Jesus accepts and embraces those whom others find deficient. He loves those who seem unlovable to others and those who seem unlovable to themselves. Now, I'm not much of a gardener, but one thing that I have learned is that every plant needs water to grow. I didn't always know this. I once actually killed a cactus plant. I learned the hard way that even a cactus plant needs water. And I learned this as well. The plants that are in the driest soil, the ones that are struggling the hardest and beginning to wither, the ones whose leaves are beginning to curl and which look worse than the rest, need more water than those who are in damp ground and whose leaves are rich and full of moisture. And I know, too, that dry plants respond better to water than they do to added heat. I know that they thrust down their roots to where they can find water or turn their leaves over so that they can better receive the water, and in receiving water, they change. They begin to look better, they begin to grow, and they produce the fruit that they have been designed to produce. We are the plants in God's garden. We are placed here for a reason and a purpose. Some of us are awfully dry, and some of us are not. But each one of us, whether we are dry or moist at this very moment, needs the living water that Jesus says he has come to give. We need that water which wells up inside of us, that water which overflows and brings life to other plants near it. That is to say, that when we allow ourselves to be filled with God's love, it can overflow and affect those around us. Over the years, I have had experiences and losses that have made me feel dehydrated and wilted. I lived through my parents' and my sister's illnesses and their deaths. I lived through a divorce. We all experience life events, good and bad. None of us are exempt. But I give thanks to God today for his love, for that love shown by Christ, that well of love which was poured out on me when I was withering and perishing at various times and struggles throughout my life. During these times, I saw and felt the love of Christ through my family and friends that gathered around me to love and care for me. I felt this love through the friends that showed up at the nursing home the night my father was dying to make sure my family had something to eat and drink. I felt this love through a friend who happened to be at Tim Hortons a few years ago on my birthday, which was the same day I found out my divorce was final, and it was also the same day that my sister came on to hospice services. Nothing is more healing and powerful than those others who allow themselves to let Christ's love and compassion shine through them. I was watered, and I was healed, and I grew. And that love and compassion continues to shine even after these challenges have passed, as well as through the fertile and joyful times in my life. This love showers me even though I am far from perfect. I give thanks for this love over the years, which has given me hope that I didn't always have, a peace that at one time I could only long for, and a reassurance that when the next challenge of life comes along, I will not be alone. In hearing this gospel again today, I am reminded that Jesus accepts me with all my faults and misgivings. He even accepts me when I don't follow through with my Lenten disciplines. He loves me even when I judge others, and he loves me even when I question the events in my life. And that is what Jesus did with the woman at the well. He accepted her. He accepted her even though she was a Samaritan and an enemy to his people. He spoke to her of God even though she was a woman and thought of by others as not worthy of such conversation. He offered her his blessing even though she debated with him and questioned his statements. He regards her as a dear sister and gives her the same title of endearment he gave Mary when he calls her woman. And that is why she sang his praises in her village, because of his acceptance, because of his love. It was not just because he knew her past. It was not just because he could tell her things that no stranger should know, that she spoke of him to her friends and neighbors. It was because in knowing her, and knowing her nationality, her gender, her religious attitudes, and the mixed history of her marriages, that he still treats her as if she were an equal, as if she were a person worthy of respect, worthy of affection, worthy of love. So when we treat others as we ourselves would like to be treated, when we can talk to wealthy people and beggars and not show any preferences to the one and not to the other, when we can open our homes and our hearts to both friends and strangers and have both feel welcomed, and when we can encounter people and not judge them, not put them down, not patronize them, then and only then will we know God's love. Then and only then can we show God's love. I want to share a story that spoke to me about this living water of Christ. It was a bitter, cold evening in Northern Virginia many years ago. The old man's beard was glazed by winter's frost while he waited for a ride across the river. The wait seemed endless. His body became numb and stiff from the frigid north wind. He heard the faint, steady rhythm of approaching hooves galloping along the frozen path. Anxiously, he watched as several horsemen rounded the bend. He let the first one pass by without an effort to get his attention. Then another passed by, and another. Finally, the last rider neared the spot where the old man sat like a snow statue. As this one drew near, the old man caught the rider's eye and said, "Sir, would you mind giving an old man a ride to the other side? There doesn't appear to be a passageway by foot." Reining in his horse, the rider replied, "Sure thing, hop aboard." Seeing the old man was unable to lift his half-frozen body from the ground, the horseman dismounted and helped the old man onto the horse. The horseman took the old man not just across the river, but to his final destination, which was just a few miles away. As they neared the tiny but cozy cottage, the horseman's curiosity caused him to inquire, "Sir, I noticed that you let several other riders pass by without making an effort to secure a ride. Then I came up and you immediately asked me for a ride. I'm curious why, on such a bitter winter night, you would wait and ask the last rider. What if I had refused and left you there?" The old man lowered himself slowly down from the horse, looked the rider straight in the eyes, and replied, "I've been around these here parts for some time. I reckon I know people pretty good." The old-timer continued, "I looked into the eyes of the other riders and immediately saw that there was no concern for my situation. It would have been useless even to ask them for a ride. But when I looked into your eyes, kindness and compassion were evident. I knew then and there that your gentle spirit would welcome the opportunity to give me assistance in my time of need." Those heartwarming comments touched that horseman deeply. "I am most grateful for what you have said," he told the old man. "May I never get too busy in my own affairs that I fail to respond to the needs of others with kindness and compassion." And with that, Thomas Jefferson turned his horse around and made his way back to the White House. May we never get too busy in our own affairs that we fail to respond to the needs of others with kindness and compassion through the living water of Christ. Amen.